Good morning, everyone. Hello. Yeah. So, yesterday, the last topic which we covered, we were looking at this umbrella activities. So, what is this umbrella activities? Or we can say why we need to use that umbrella activities? Anyone remember? See, whenever you design a software, you have to consider some activities so that your software product will become efficient. Okay, so all these activities together form an you can say umbrella kind of thing, like a cover on a software product, so that your software product becomes best, becomes efficient. It can protect you from any inappropriate actions or activities, so that you need to perform all these activities, uh, you can say, so that an umbrella kind of thing, yeah, you can say that one kind of cover is created in your software product, and ultimately it would help your software product to become efficient. And so if you perform all these activities, that means that your software product is the most efficient one, you can say, for your company or for your customer also. Okay, and this umbrella activities cover these many activities. Okay, we have seen the software project tracking and control, former technical reviews, software quality assurance. Then we have also covered software configuration management. What is there in software configuration management? So it is indicating that you need to establish some kind of relationship. You need to control the different versions of your software. You need to handle all those things, and to make your product efficient, and it should satisfy all the requirements given by the customer. So to manage and to control the relationship and your version, all the versions of your software product, all those mechanisms will be covered in this particular activity. Now, the next one is document preparation and production. So what is that? So all the project planning and other activities should be hardly documented, okay, in some place, and so that whenever in future we require some kind of thing to uh, like which technology we have used to develop the particular model, or you can say which tools you have used to test that particular module, or you can say any kind of all those requirements that we have received from the customer, from the clients. So all those things should be properly documented so that it can be helpful for the production. So, and also all those requirements and the tools, techniques, and technologies we have used. Also, you need to store, or you need to document the presentation, the final presentation that you have presented to the to your client. Okay, when you are delivering that product, when you are when you hand over that particular product to the client. So all those things should be properly documented. Now the next activity is reusability management. So you can say that this particular activity includes, you can say that this particular activity includes the backing up of each part of the software project. They can be corrected, or any kind of support can be given to them later to update or upgrade the software whenever user requires. Okay, so your project should be performed, your project should be developed in such a way that whenever a new requirement is coming, you can accommodate very easily in your current software. Understood? So the parts, all the modules should be reusable, and it should be developed in such a way that whenever the new requirements arises, you can relate it with your current development. And also one more thing, that if you are developing the software with the non-functional functionality, you can say reusability, then it would also help you to maintain the cost for your software. Now the measurement and metrics. So this will include all those measurement like cost metrics, then performance measurement, performance metrics. What are the performance we have checked for our product, and what are the cost metrics according to which your product is developed. So all those metrics are there in this particular activity. And the last one is risk management. So risk management, you can say a series of steps that help your software team to understand and manage any uncertainty of your risk. Like it may possible that the delivery of your product schedule due to some reason it got delayed, okay, or due to some unavailability of tools or hardware, you cannot deliver your product. So all those risks should be maintained, should be managed at the early phase. Okay, so to identify those risks and to handle those risks, all those things, and what will be the impact of those risks, and what plan you should manage or you should maintain to handle those risks, all those things should be come under this risk management activities. So that's all about this all umbrella activities. And if you covered all these activities, that means that whatever the software you have developed is appropriate and is efficient. Okay, understood? So now the next topic is software product models. So you can say that to solve actual problems in any industry, a software engineer, or you can say a team of engineers, must incorporate a development strategy. Some kind of development strategy should be that, so that can encompasses the different kinds of processes, methods, tools, quality, all those 4 layers that we have covered in a layered approach for software engineering. So all those things, all those layers should be covered in that particular strategy. And a software engineer, or you can say a team of engineers, must come up with particular strategy that has all those layers. Okay, and it should also cover that strategy should also cover the generic phases, the 3 generic phases that we have seen: definition, development, and support. So all those 3 generic phases should also be there. And after the development, they should check the software for the efficient quality. Okay, so this strategy, you can say, is referred as a process model or a software engineering paradigm. You can call it a software process model, or you can call it software engineering paradigm. A process model or a software engineering paradigm for software engineering is chosen based on the nature of the project. Okay, whatever the methodology or whatever the model is suitable for your project, that you have to choose at a particular time of development. So on the based on project or application or the methods or tools which are required, and what are the deliverables or controls that you can take, or all those things are the basis to choose any particular model for your software to develop. Okay, and there are different kinds of models available, like waterfall model, spiral model, then a V model, okay, incremental model. So all these models that we will cover soon, but before that, let's understand the SDLC life cycle, which is nothing but the basic fundamental for all those models. So you can say the SDLC is nothing but the software development life cycle. The overview of this SDLC we have covered in first lecture. Okay, but we'll cover the detailed step of each and every phase here. So you can say the SDLC is a well-defined, structured sequence of stages in software engineering to develop any kind of product, or you can say software product. Now, first of all, why we need this software development life cycle? So, uh, you know, the team of engineer or the development team must determine a suitable life cycle model for a particular plan, and they should then observe it. Okay, because without using an exact life cycle model, the development of your project or the software product would not be in a systematic, or you can say in a disciplined manner. So when a team is developing any software product, there must be some kind of clear understanding among team about when to deliver this product, what to do, what methodologies to use, etc. If you are not deciding all these things, it would lead you to the chaotic situation. Okay, or it may be project. It may lead you, your project may fail. Okay, sometimes. So this, to handle all these things, the SDLC would help you. So suppose a software development issue is there, and it is divided into various parts, and the parts are assigned to different team members. So from then on, suppose the team representative is there, and he is allowed or she is allowed to freedom to develop the roles and assign some roles to the team, that in a team which person will perform which module, or who is working on which particular feature. So he can assign the roles to your team in whatever way he likes or she likes. So it is possible that one representative might start writing the code for his part, or another one choose to prepare the test documents first and then work upon it, and some other engineer might begin with the design phase of the roles assigned to them. So this would be one of the perfect method for, you can say, to develop. Okay, we have to decide first. So a software lifecycle model also describes the entry and exit criteria for each phase. This SDLC will decide the entry and exit criteria for each phase, because in this SDLC lifecycle, the input for every phase is nothing but the output for the previous phase, right? The input for every phase is nothing but the output which we receive from the previous phase. So a phase can begin only and only if its stage entry criteria, its phase entry criteria have been fulfilled. So without a software lifecycle model, the entry and exit criteria for a stage cannot be recognized. So without software lifecycle model, it becomes very tough for software project managers to monitor the progress of your project, and it may lead, ultimately, it may lead to the project failure. So to handle all these things, we require some SDLC model. So what are the basic steps that is covered in all those models? So that is depicted here in the SDLC life cycle. So basically, the SDLC life cycle is representing the process, for the standard process for developing software. It is nothing but, you can say, a series of steps that we should follow to design or to develop a software product efficiently. Okay, so what are those steps? So they are like requirement gathering, analysis, design, development, testing, deployment, and maintenance. So let's go one by one and see them in detail. Okay, so the first one is requirement gathering. But before starting with this requirement gathering, what actually happened in real-time scenario? Any idea? Like directly, it's not like that. Client is coming and he or she is giving its requirement to your company or to the chief person, or you can say the business analyst, to be specific. Okay, it is not like that. You can say before this, a phase of communication is there. What is that? So you can say where the communication is step is there, where the user initiates the request for a desired software product that he or she wants for that particular purpose. The user contacts the service provider and tries to negotiate the terms or submits the request to the service provider, or you can say service providing organization, in writing. So before requirement gathering, there is this type of communication is there, and after that communication will be built in between this users and the respective service provider. The next step is requirement gathering. Are you getting me? Yeah. So, what is requirement gathering? So, requirement gathering is the most important and necessary stage in SDLC. Okay, the business analyst, you can say, and the project organizer set up a meeting with the client to gather all the requirements, all the data, like what the customer wants to build, who will be the end user, what is the main motive, main objective, main aim of your product. So before creating the product, a core understanding knowledge of the product is very necessary. So this is nothing, the requirement gathering is nothing but the first step towards the software development team, which works to carry on the project. And the team also holds the discussion with like various clients, or you can say various persons from the problem domain, and tries to bring out as much information as possible from them on the base for the requirements. Okay, because on the basis of this requirement, whole project will be developed. So the requirements, after that requirements, those requirements are segregated into user requirements, system requirements, functional requirements, non-functional requirements. Okay, and then these requirements are collected using like a number of methods, like it can be collected studying the existing system and software. There is some existing system and the user just want a similar kind of thing but with some enhancement. So that is also one way to gather the requirements, by studying that existing software. Then conducting interviews of users and developers. Okay, so they can conduct like different kinds of interviews with the users and gather some requirement. That is the common way. After that, they can also study some different kinds of databases, or refer some databases which are related to their problem domain, and so that they can collect some answers from the questions they have. Okay, so all these things, all the requirement gathering is done by mainly the business analyst, who is collecting the requirement from the customer or the client as per the client business needs. So after this, what will happen? It's not directly, you can say, the analysis phase, but after this requirement gathering, the team comes up with a rough plan, you can say, of your software process. And at this step, the team analyzes if a software can be designed to fulfill all the requirements of the user, whether it is possible to design a software which can fulfill all those requirements, and if there is any possibility of software being no more useful, that is the thing is also checked. So it is also analyzed that if your project will be financially, practically and technologically feasible, then and only then that organization would take that project. Otherwise it would not go ahead with that particular project development. So there are many algorithms, you can say, or many methodologies, so that the developers can conclude that whether this project is feasible to develop or not, whatever the requirements are given by the client are feasible to develop or not. After that, once the requirement is gathered and it is decided, suppose that project is feasible to develop. So next phase is your analysis, requirement analysis. So you can say in this phase we need to define and document all those product software requirements, and you need to get them approved from your customer. Once after you have documented all those requirements, first you have properly defined all those requirements and documented it properly, then you have to get them approved from your customer that yes, it is now perfectly fine. And this is done through, you can say, the software requirement specification document, SRS, software requirement specification document. The whole next chapter is there on that. So we are not going into detail right now, but this the process, the approval process is done using this SRS document, which is prepared by the business analyst. So you can say that the key people who are involved in this are the business analysts, or you can say some senior members from the organization or from the team. So you can say that the output of this phase is nothing but the software requirement specification, and once it is done, we can go ahead to the next step. Okay, so the software requirement specification is having all those product requirements, and which will help ultimately to develop the project during this whole life cycle. So you can say the entry point for this phase is this next phase, design phase, is the software requirement document, software requirement specification document. So the next step is to bring down the whole knowledge of requirements analysis on the desk and design the software product. Okay, the inputs from users and information gathered in this requirement gathering phase are the inputs for this particular step. Okay, and the output of this phase is, you can say, a form of designs like different kinds of diagrams, data flow diagrams, or activity diagrams, sequential diagram, class diagram. All those diagrams also we will cover in detail, but here you can say in this particular phase of designing the software, you have to make a general idea, general design of your system, that what will your system do, but you have to represent in a diagram way, or you can represent it in a pictorial way. Okay, so that you can have idea, or the developers who are going to develop the product in your next phase, they can have idea that what is the flow of your software, what is whatever the things they are going to develop, what is the flow. Okay, so which module is connected to which module, or all those relationship between those modules. So all those things you can show in this particular diagram with the help of this diagram. So you can say that this next step of development is, you can say that it will have the knowledge of all this requirement analysis design phase, so that would be helpful for the development phase. So you can say that in that particular development phase, when it begins, the programming, the actual programming is started. The implementation of design, whatever you have prepared the diagrams, data flow diagrams, or the class diagrams, use case diagrams, all those implementation of those designs begin with the help of code, by writing the code. So developers have to follow this. There is some particular coding guidelines described by their management, or you can say which programming tools they have to use. That all the things are mentioned. They have to develop or code accordingly, using some suitable programming language or tools. Okay, or say for example, customer wants their particular software in some particular language only, so they have to work accordingly. and they have to develop and implement the software as per their requirement. And ultimately, you can say the error-free executable code is the output of this particular phase, right? Now the next one is the testing. So after your code is generated, it is tested against the requirements to make sure that the products are solving the needs. It is tested against the requirements to make sure that the products are solving the requirements or the needs of your customer, which is gathered during the requirement stage. And software testing is, you can say, done by developers also, like unit testing, whatever the individual module they have developed. So it is also tested while they are developing it, while they are coding it, to testing, like unit testing, that will cover in that testing chapter. But for now, while developing also, they are going to test that particular feature from their end, but the thorough testing of your whole software is also done by the testing team, by the testing experts. Okay, so during, you can say, this particular stage, or different kinds of testing like unit testing, integration testing, system testing, then acceptance testing, all those testings are performed to check the individual functionality, to check the quality, and not the two types of, mainly the quality, functional and non-functional quality. So that testing team will also perform the testing to make sure that it is working fine. It will work fine from the user's end also. So when the software, you can say, when this whole software is ready, it is sent to the test team, or you can say QA team. Okay, once the QA makes sure that your software is error free, it goes to the next stage, which is nothing but the deployment stage. Okay, so you can say that the outcome of this phase is the quality product, because it is tested by the QA people, and the QA people, you can say, have given the green flag that this software can be now deployed. It can be handed over to the customer. So now, once this all things are done, no bugs are there or no errors are there, then the software is deployed. Are you getting me? Okay. So based on some assessment, the software release will be there, that this is a particular release. So, in actual environment, in company, there are different phases. First, the developer will perform all those, developers will develop the software on their environment. Okay, you can say on dev environment, on the developing environment. Then the software will be tested on QA environment. Then you have to first build and deploy the final project, and then you have to hand over, then you have to release that particular software. So after, it is not that we have delivered a software, our task is complete. No. After that, the maintenance phase is there. So once, when the client has started using the developed system, then you can say the real issues will come up. And it may possible that new requirements can also come, which need to be solved, which need to be performed, and which need to be further developed and given back to the customers. And these all things need to be performed time to time. So this procedure, where the care is taken for the developed product, is known as the maintenance. Okay, and the maintenance should be performed as per the service level agreement. Like, that we have some customer care services also. So that is also one kind of support and maintenance. but it is necessary because the software should be maintained timely by updating the code according whatever the changes are coming from the user end, okay, or whatever the features, new requirements they want. So you can say the real challenges can come in this particular phase. Some hidden bugs or some real world unidentified problems can be identified in this particular stage, and it will be handled and it should be handled. All right. So you can say the main motive or the main objective of this software development life cycle is to produce basically high quality system that should meet and that should satisfy the customer requirements, customer expectation, and it should work effectively and efficiently in the environment, in the user environment. And it should also be inexpensive to maintain and cost effective to enhance. So to perform all these things, we have some software development models, the process models that we need to apply. Did you understand this software development life cycle? Because all the models which we are going to see now, they are based on this SDLC. Okay, good. So the first model is the linear sequential model, or you can say it is also known as the waterfall model or classic life cycle model. Okay. So yeah, begin with this linear sequential model, or famously known as the waterfall model. So you can say it is again a systematic approach to software development, and it begins at system level. Okay, through analysis. See, it is basically the same as the software development life cycle. It goes through this analysis, design, coding, testing, support phase. So this particular waterfall model is universally accepted SDLC model, and in this particular model, the whole process of software development is first divided into various phases, as you can see in this figure, and all these phases is nothing but the phases of SDLC, and it will function one after another in this particular linear manner only. That is, when the first phase is finished, then and only then this particular second phase will start, and so on. So this waterfall model is, you can say, a continuous software development model in which the development is seen as flowing steadily downwards like a waterfall through the steps of like requirement gathering, requirement definition, analysis, design, implementation, testing, integration, maintenance, and so on. So you can say that this waterfall model is one kind of example of plan driven process. It means that you must first have to plan and schedule all of the process activities before starting to work on them. Okay, starting with this requirement definition, or you can say the requirement gathering and specification phase. So what is that we already know what it actually does. It just the aim of, you can say, or the objective of this phase is to understand and exact requirements of your customer, and then you have to document them properly, because both the customer and the software developer will work on the basis of those document only. Okay, because that is the agreement which is the done, and you can say the requirements provided by the customer, that at the end they will check that all their requirements are satisfied or not. So all the, you can say, the functions, performance, all the kind of each and every little detail or requirement is depicted in that particular requirement document. And this phase describes basically or focuses on what the system will do, and it not focus on how the system will do, because how that particular things are going to work, okay, how they are going to be developed, because all those things will be covered in implementation phase. So in that in this particular phase, you have to just focuses on the requirements, that what are the requirements, and you can say the output of this phase is the software requirement specification document, which is created by the business person, by the business analyst, and which contain a detailed description of what the system will do in a common language that can be understood by the user also, and they have to get it approved from your from the client, from the customer. Then comes the design phase. So in this particular design phase, it will transform your requirements which are gathered in your software requirement specification document. You have to transform them in a suitable form, and like some diagram, and then those diagrams can be further implemented using some programming language. So it this particular phase defines the overall software architecture and using some diagrams, and you can say the output of this particular second phase is the software design document, SDD, software design document. The output of this waterfall model second phase is software design document. Are you getting me? The first one is software requirement specification, that is given to this particular design phase. After this design phase, we are having the output as software design document, which is having all those diagrams, all the which is basically indicating how your system will flow, what will be the flow of your software and how it is going to work. Then comes the implementation and unit testing. So during this particular phase, the design is implemented. Okay, so if your software design document is complete, the implementation or coding phase is started, because all the information needed by software developers is contained in this particular software design document. So it is implemented, and during this testing part, as I told you, that code is which is developed by the developer is thoroughly examined from their end, and if they require, they can modify it. So small modules are tested in isolation initially, and after that, these all modules are tested individually by whatever the developed by those developers. Then in the next stage, they are going to integrate, and the QA team will perform the integration and whole system testing. Are you getting me? The phase of waterfall model. So in this particular phase, in this particular phase, the quality is tested, because the quality is the main crucial thing in developing any software. So the end product or the end software should be having such quality that the user will accept it, okay, and the user will satisfied with that our product. So for that, integration and system testings are done. After that, the phase of operation and maintenance is there. So what will happen in that phase? The system is, say for example, is deployed, and now it is installed and put into a practical use. Okay, and after that, maintenance involves like the errors which are coming from the user end. They need to correct that, which you can say were not discovered in the earlier stages, in the development stages of your life cycle, and you need to improve those errors, you need to correct those errors, you need to identify the bugs and resolve that bugs, and you have to make it error free if it is something like that is coming. So you need to improve the implementation of your system units, and you need to basically enhance your system service whenever some new requirements are there. So the maintenance is the task performed by every user once the software has been delivered to your customer, or you can say when it is installed and it is in a real-time environment, it is in a working condition. So after that, whatever the bugs are there, you need to maintain them. So after all this, you can say that this whole waterfall model is working as on the basis of that software development life cycle. But the main thing here is that before starting this phases, you need to have all the requirements in one go. Okay, you need to have all the requirements, all the specifications. After that, you have to start your development. You have to start with your phases, because you can see here there is no repetition. Okay, एक बार ये step पे आ गए, we cannot go back to that particular step again. So we should have all the requirements priorly so that we can develop our software. Okay, so now on the basis of this, can you tell me what will be the problem? What problems can be occur, or you can say what is the drawback of this waterfall model? The one point I have just said, that all the requirements should be there. Yes, anyone? Yes, without completing one phase, we cannot, if we need, without completing one phase, we cannot move ahead. If we need a new functionality in software after operation, we cannot do that, right? Okay, because there is no repetition here. Okay, so we need to have all the requirements early phase only, because whenever, say for example, and it is actually possible that a new requirement can come, and if that happen, we cannot able to develop that new requirement and accommodate with that new change, because that is not possible using this waterfall model. So we can say that this waterfall model is not applicable in realistic scenarios. Okay, in real-time scenarios, because in whenever we are developing some large project, it may possible that new requirements will come or errors will come. Okay, but we don't have any functionality to go back and change all those things, so that would not be feasible. Also, one thing is that whole this whole product, whole your working software will be delivered to your customer at the end only. Okay, once the whole software is developed, the whole each and every features are developed, at the end only your software will be delivered to your customers. So you can say that whenever any error comes, okay, then from the user's end, the error discovery is got delayed, because then we cannot go back to that particular phase. And also risks are not handled in this, because there is no facility to handle risk. When we cover the spiral model, then we'll see that spiral model focuses on how to handle this risk. Okay, which is very much important in real-time scenarios, to handle the risk. So that is also not done. The risk assessment is also not done in this particular model. Then, and whenever any change is there, so that particular waterfall model is not suitable for this, accommodating this particular change in your development. So you can say those are the drawbacks. Now, can you tell me that this thing is we have covered? Now, can you tell me when we can use this waterfall model?
there are some existing software already present.
Yeah, that is written. That
Make up
yeah,
some more add modification, very little bit of modification.
yeah, very little bit of modification is required, and the company has already developed similar kind of software already, and the user just wants some kind of little enhancement in that particular software. So in that case, we can use this waterfall model to develop that particular software, because we will aware about all those bugs and errors that will come across, or all those risks, so we can handle those things. Okay, and we can also use this waterfall model when the requirements are clearly mentioned and clearly understood, and we have gathered all the requirements, and we will sure that no new requirements is coming. Okay, the stable requirements are with us. So in that case also, that we can use this waterfall model, because we know that my requirements are not going to change. My requirements are being constant throughout my software development life cycle. So I can use this particular model to develop my software. And the another thing is, when we have experience in developing this similar kind of software, or the software which is having some little bit enhancement. Okay, so in that scenario, you can say that this waterfall model is useful. Otherwise, we cannot. Otherwise, actually, in a real scenario, this waterfall model is not that much useful. Understood? Now, in next lecture, yeah, good. So in next lecture, we will cover this incremental model. Okay, we will start with incremental model and spiral model.